Well, here I am in Texas, and I'm beginning to read the book, The Universal One, again. And I'm going to start with where I left off. When the light units, which we familiarly term light rays, reach the inertial plane of equalized pressures between the mass of the Sun and the mass of this planet, their expanded masses impact against it and continue beyond it in an ever-increasing state of solidity. These expanded negative particles, which have reproduced themselves in transit, then become positively charged as they impact with and plunge gravitatively through the pressures which increasingly rise as they near the mass of this planet. Eventually, they impact against the planet as positive charge attracted toward greater positive charge. The potential of each is increased by this impact, and the heat generated by magnetic resistance to the impact is absorbed as accumulated energy until it becomes devitalized and is released by the turn of the planet away from the light. For another example, consider the familiar lightning flash, which we know as forked lightning. Lightning is a highly generative, positive charge seeking its own pressure and potential. The maximum positively charged high potential and high pressure of this planet is that part which is nearest its center. Lightning and all the forks of lightning are gravitative. They always seek the planet. Never do they proceed in the opposite direction toward negative discharge, except in rare instances where a minor charge leaps upward toward a cloud of higher positive charge or higher potential. This latter effect is exactly analogous to that of an iron nail leaping upward toward a magnet. Lightning seeking its own potential and an apple falling to the ground are effects of exactly the same cause. Gravitation is the cause of each. Each is taking a shortcut across lots through intervening pressures to find its equal pressure. Later it will be seen that the cause of rotation and revolution, together with all of their respective variations and periodicities, can only be solved through the understanding that positive charge attracts positive charge and negative discharge repels both positive charge and negative discharge. Now for the next chapter, it's called The Elements of Matter. The elements of matter are but varying aggregations of corpuscular light units gathered together in systems familiarly known as atoms. Atomic systems differ from solar and stellar systems solely in dimension. In substance, structure, and appearance they are exactly similar. It has heretofore been stated that all effects of motion are repetitive. Mass is an effect of motion, and mass is repetitive, with no change whatsoever in its repetition, save dimension. A bigger atom, such as a solar system, is not different from an elemental atom of the same tone in any way but size. Dimension is purely relative. The law for little mass is the same law as for big mass. The elements are supposed to be many different substances, each of which is known by a different name. Each element is supposed to be that one substance and only that. An atom of mercury or sodium is supposed to be an atom of mercury or sodium, which always has been and always will be that, and nothing else. The very foundation stone of modern physics states unequivocally in its explanation of the principles of energy conservation, not one particle of matter, however small, may be created or destroyed. All the keen's horses and all the keen's men cannot destroy a pinhead. Matter constantly progresses through the cycle of disappearance and reappearance. Every pulsation of thinking mind brings particles into appearance and relegates others into disappearance. Matter is evolving and devolving as all other forms of life are evolving and devolving. A sodium particle is not always a sodium particle. It changes its dimensions in an orderly and periodic manner until it has run the gamut of all the elements of every octave and returned to its own octave. A radium particle was once a light unit of hydrogen and will be so again. More than this, an atom of any element actually contains within itself all of the other elements. An atom of gold is a gold atom in dimension only. It is not even preponderantly of the substance of gold. It is everything else in the universe. Everything that is of everything else that is. Nothing is of itself alone. Consider for a moment an atom of manganese or an atom of iron, both of which are very similar in structure. Instead of thinking of it as an inconceivably little thing, for the purpose of comparison, imagine it magnified until it is as big as this solar system. One would not think of that vast solar system as an atom of any one of the elements, for one knows that all of the elements are contained within it. Yet this solar system is either a manganese or an iron atom, as nearly as the relator can determine without precise mathematical computation. And while awaiting calculation of other dimensions, it is one or the other of those elements. Its plane, an extension of elliptic, its color as a tonal system, its tonal syllable in the octave scale, its endothermic relativity as a charging system, its tonal density, temperature, and other dimensions, place it within a particular certainty as one of these two elements. Later, when calculations have been made in accordance with the relator's formula, the relative age of this system, is its exact tonal orbit, its potential position, plane, elliptic expansion, and extension will be exactly known. This first volume will not, however, be encumbered with mathematics. The basic principle of motion under which the one living being functions in his thinking are simple, and simply must they be written down. The day of the mathematician will come in the adaptation of those principles. This solar system being just one huge atom of iron or manganese, let us say, and to our knowledge containing all of the elements of the entire 10-octave cycle in their proper proportions, can it not now be clearly seen that the concept of the elements as separate and distinct substances of exact homogeneity throughout their structures is untenable in this universe of repetitiveness in all of its effects of motion? Cannot it then be seen that it is not the substance itself which determines its effect as an element, but merely its position and its dimensions in its octave constant? Cannot it also be clearly seen that the substance of the element for which it has been named is not even preponderant in its own element? This solar system, which is true to plane as iron or manganese, is not preponderantly iron or manganese in its composition. It could not be. It contains vastly larger proportions of many of the other elements, and yet some cosmic giant might gather up a handful of such systems as ours, which to him would be a solid, and analyze them in his laboratory as iron or manganese atoms. Therefore, let old concepts of many separate substances be discarded and replaced with the true concept of but the one universal substance of many apparent dimensions known to man in the language of inner thinking, the language of light. There is but one cosmic substance. This one substance appears to be divided into many substances known as the elements of matter. The one universal substance first divides itself into the appearance of two opposite states of motion, which register as positive and negative elements. Then two more opposite elements appear. Then two more opposite elements of increasing potential and harder crystallization appear.